Hello and welcome to the Monkey Nut Punch podcast. It's the 19th of March. Me and Keith have got some bits to talk about. It's been good TV on recently. Ted Lasso's back too, so I'm going to watch that later.
Yes,
and there's
I have watched that.
I haven't got around to seeing it yet. I think I started watching it, got interfered. Didn't quite go down the way I wanted to, but hey. And then there's Severance on Apple TV, which I haven't watched, which I'm gonna watch, which would be cool. And so we've got Picard to talk about because that's been good. I like good TV. We feel a bit spoiled with that. But before we start, I'd just like to bring you a note from our sponsor. Covaction Dronography, or just Covaction now. So yes, I'm being sponsored this week by Chuck. I'm just going to leave his video running there in the background. Chuck has a YouTube channel where he goes off and enjoys himself, but from my perspective, he just looks like he drinks a lot. It's the little nice videos to watch, even though there's one of him drinking water directly from a glacier, and that kind of reminds me of the episode of The X-Files with the worms.
Oh, shit, yeah. That was a what? Oh, shit, yeah.
So I don't know why that came into my head when I'm watching. It's like
I was jealous of that though. It looked, it was X. Yeah. Now I know what you mean.
Yes,
yeah. But that was an amazing glacier. I mean, God, blimey, that was amazing. He really liked that bridge. He really liked that bridge.
There was a Texan that really liked that bridge and thought he bought it.
Yeah.
Then when he got it shipped over, found out it wasn't the bridge that he thought. You got Tower Bridge and London Bridge confused. Yes,
that's Tower Bridge.
But it is weird to think there's London Bridge in Texas. Anyway, that's a brief word from our sponsor, who clearly was enjoying himself way too much. So let's put the frivolities aside for a moment. And what are we going to talk about? What would you like to talk about?
Should we get the sad news out of the way first, and then we can just deal with everything good after that?
Yeah, let's get the sad news. Lance Reddick of John Wick, Fringe, and Resident Evil fame, I dare use that, died this weekend, just before the premiere for John Wick 4, I think it was. He posted that he was spending the evening with his dogs and whatnot, and he died, which is tragic. And it always kind of came across as it gave impression in like kind of interviews and stuff that he was a nice guy. Didn't espouse his politics everywhere. He was, on the up and up. He seemed like one of the good ones, but sadly passed.
He had a distinctive voice, and I kind of enjoyed his character of the kind of concierge, but a concierge with a twist in John Wick. And he was due to star in the TV series, the spin-off TV series. So unfortunately, they're probably that's going to now have to be delayed, obviously, while they either recast or work out what they're going to do there. But so his last, I think, on-screen work will be John Wick 4. But it's funny, I've been playing Horizon Into the West, I think it's called.
Yeah, Forbidden West.
Forbidden West, that's it. And Lance Reddick voices one of the characters in that. So I was playing the game, and as I'm listening to him, I saw the news pop up. I was like, oh, holy shit. And he was only 60. But he was a good character actor. Even though he had a distinctive voice, he could play, his character in John Wick is very different to the FBI sort of head that he played in Fringe. And again, different to the very brief moment that I decided to watch that terrible freaking Netflix zombie thing, which was, doesn't even deserve that. It doesn't deserve that name. It does not deserve that name. It will be foreknown as the terrible zombie thing because, Resident Evil's good and this wasn't. So it was a shame. But rest in peace. And we've lost a good character actor and a good actor and a good guy by all, as you said, by all sort of sounds. Have you found some Lance Reddick?
I just there's like a meme clip of him, and it's like Let's just pop it on stream here, and it's like reminds me of Dokes from Dexter. But when I think of him and I think of like memes, I think of this.
This is bullshit.
Yeah. Yep, I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Yes. So anyway, rest in peace, Mr. Riddick.
Yeah.
So what should we talk about first?
Let's talk about Luther.
Yes.
Because I watched it on the Friday it came out.
I did as well.
I'd been waiting for it.
I did as well.
It was good. Really good.
I really enjoyed it. The critics have somewhat slammed it, which shows what they know. I think it was. I like the fact that it was shot differently to a Luther TV episode. It did feel slightly more epic.
Before we continue, when it got to the end and the music kicked in, did you think that Idris Elba was singing the tune?
Yeah.
Because I just as an aside, it was the one thing that I was like kind of like made me just go, is that Idris? Has he done a Dennis Waterman? Write a theme tune, sing a theme tune.
It did sound a bit like him, but that was obviously the end credit music is obviously the music from the opening of the the TV series. But by God, it was good. I mean, when I saw that Andy Serkis was in it, that kind of got we're gonna have Andy Serkis up against Luther. That's gonna be interesting because Andy Serkis can do fucking Psycho well, and he did not disappoint.
No, he didn't disappoint.
He did not disappoint. They kind of retconned a little bit of how Luther ends up in jail. They kind of retconned that because at the end of the episode, Alice was the one that sets him up, and there was no mention of that. So at the end of the last season on the BBC, there was no mention of like Alice, like killing herself and putting him into jail. My only quibble is that they retconned that a little bit.
Yeah, it was.
But I love the fact that he's got like he's got his car stashed in some garage, and of course he has to have one of those fucking jackets and a shirt and red tie. It's like he's like the fucking Doctor, isn't he?
Yeah. No, that was always the running gag that Luther was like a superhero, so he only ever had one costume. Because there's an episode that we go back to his house, and he's literally got the same combo, like 6 times on 6 different hangers in his front room, just so he can just dress quickly in the morning and have done with it. Cool. I was going to say because it's a weird one because the story is about I can't remember the character's name that Andy Serkis played. Because he keeps his name all the way up until the end from it, but it's about this psychopathic guy whose tendencies and proclivities have like kind of pushed him into doing what they refer to as like a red room, which is like a urban myth thing where they have like a online snuff thing, which is terrifying in its own. But when you see him, is how he treats his wife. His wife like found out, so he pretty much like set her on fire. It was that. Oh, hello. Sorry.
Hey.
Thanks. Oh, that's. So going back to Luther, it was fantastic. The bit I kind of found a bit weird was when the people were throwing themselves off the building.
Yeah. Now he obviously bribed them into doing that. But again, it was effective. And yeah, it was effective. I think the only thing, and I know that if they hadn't done it, they wouldn't have got to the hidden secret ice layer. Was the daughter character being introduced within 1 minute she was kidnapped, and you're meant to care about that, and you don't really. And I think that's where they've clearly not transitioned that bit well from a TV series where you have time to build that up to the movie where it happens all in 1 second. I mean, the minute you see her come on, you go, she's about to be kidnapped, but it happens so quickly. That bit was too quick for me. But I mean, it's a minor criticism in what was actually a really, really good thing. I like the fact that, you know, the guy that he's working with, who looks to be a nerd, turns out to be some psycho fucking killer in himself. You know, the computer guy that you see, and then he turns out to be some evil kind of bastard who in fairness, gets his comeuppance. My wife watched it with me, and she was more upset about the Land Rover at the end. This is a nice car.
Got to get out of the lake eventually. The other thing too is it also made it look like it's a short hop on a helicopter from Norway to London, which is a bloody long distance, like 400 and something miles. That's the kind of made me go. These are little things though, but everything kind of worked out right. I think because he was phoning up and he was taunting Luther, and he had all these resources that we were putting together. The first bit that he set up, where he kidnapped those people, he tortured them, he'd murdered them, and then set up the thing. So they had the thing with the phones.
Yeah,
dude, that put a fucking shiver. That put a shiver down my spine.
And it was the fact that he was watching as well with the iPad in his goddamn hood and that laughing face. And when the mum fucking discovers it, Jesus, that I mean, that was pretty fucking brutal. I mean, it didn't hold back. That was brutal. And the recordings and everything, that was pretty brutal. But by that, I mean, they established pretty early on that he's a bit of a nasty bastard. But then Luther's done this many times. You know, the two brothers that were doing hammer attacks and things. That was brutal as well. I've never forgotten that episode.
That opening in the petrol station where you've got I think it's like 4 people, because you got including the attendant, and then you've got the guy, and he just comes up and starts smashing the car up, and everyone's like looking at him, and it's like, and then all of a sudden they snap out of, because it's like, what the fuck's going on here? They snap out of it. They go out there. He then beats someone to death and sprays him in the face with acid. Yeah, and it's odd because that felt almost real.
Yeah,
that was the one that kind of hit home for me, because that's something I can imagine happening to me, because I've popped down to the petrol station to get diesel late at night, and you've seen the odd person lingering around, usually kids, I'll be honest with you, not grown-ass men. But that was, and then again, Neil Cross is a really good writer for Luther. It's funny because person that Russell T Davies is eyeing up to take over when he leaves already, he's talking about it, is Neil Cross. So
that could work. I mean, I like, as I said, I like how it was filmed. I like the bits when they get to Norway and the way the camera is following the drone, by the way. Chuck, it was a drone.
Oh, no, the drone. The drones.
But I'm talking about the way it was filmed. It was filmed cinematically, unlike the episodes. And, that made the cinematic look to it when the people are jumping off in Piccadilly Circus made it that much more eerie. And that much more, and it was the way they show the bodies coming down, and most of the time the splat at the bottom as well. Again, they didn't. You expect the camera to shy away, and it bloody well doesn't. And whilst it's gruesome, it adds to that sense, and you feel sorry for the copper that sort of like initially knocks off Luther, and it shows how much of a decent guy Luther is.
Yeah.
And that whole scene in the petrol station where Luther very nearly has him. And it just the chemistry between the two of them, and Andy Serkis just so convincingly selling absolute psycho dude. And then it gets to the Red Room, and I love it. I love that bit where you think, how the fuck is he going to get out of this? I mean, he is fucked. Luther is fucked. There is no way out of this. And then Luther uses his superpower, and he fucking winds him up. And that bit where and the way you see it in Serkis's face, the way he portrays that, I was just like, oh, he's got him. and that was boom, and it all changed so quickly. And again, not having Luther kill him and still being satisfied. You're right. It's great writing.
It was, and it's because at the end, spoiler warning, too late. In the end, he chases him across a frozen lake in Norway. The car falls into the ice. That goes in the bottom, so he's trying to deactivate this fire system to burn the whole room out where everyone is. Matey, I really want to know what Andy Serkis's name is, but Andy Serkis's character swims up, but it's great because he swims up to where the bodies were for the people that were working on the computer systems that he all killed off and then drowned in the lake. And because he goes up the wrong way, he dies. And because Luther stays where he is, he gets rescued. So it's kind of like there's like a bit of satisfaction there because he was like, one was willing to die for it and the other one wanted to survive for it. And it just watch it. Seriously, watch it. Really good TV. Really good
I do think they were having fun at the end, though. I do think they were poking fun. And I mean, Gareth said this was Gareth's line, but I had a similar thought. Was like, you know, Andy Serkis's character kind of had a hidden secret lair in an ice thing, very like James Bond. Bit. We've had secret hideouts in ice layers before, and then the whole fucking MI5, maybe MI6, we don't know which Secret Service recruitment thing at the end. I love it. Oh, you're not going back to jail. Oh, it looks like the government. Oh, the chief wants to see you. I was like, no, we're gonna have Luther. Is this kind of like suddenly they're going to announce, you know, Idris Elba is taking over as James Bond, you know, and because that will get every mother. Oh, he's Luther.
But if he stays Luther, though,
I would rather see another Luther movie as Luther operating for MI5 as a secret agent. That could be interesting. And I mean, let's face it, Luther is preposterous. It always has been. But it's preposterous. This is going to be—it's a contradiction in terms, but in a realistic way, if that makes sense.
In a believable way.
Yes, that's a better way of saying it. And I enjoyed the shit out of the movie. I mean, it was difficult. It was tough bits to watch, and the violence. It's the way Luther does violence. It feels like you said. It feels so damn real, and that does make me feel uncomfortable. But by God, is it a good movie? I really enjoyed it, and we've been waiting for this for they've been talking about this for 5, 6, 8 years, I think.
Since the end, where they are horrible. Right, hang on a second. I just want to point out that building. There's a building in London where they had their final confrontation. Yeah, and I always described it as the ugliest building in London. Yeah, they've redone it now, so it doesn't exist. Because they tore it down and put up a replacement thing. But it's the ugliest building in London. The way it's put together, it's very brutalist, I think, is the way of describing it. And it's just the fact that I've got that association when I go into London now, that I ever see that building that's been replaced and go, that's where Luther came across from. Which is cool.
I just thought it was... I enjoyed it. I mean, they've been talking about a movie. Actually, they were talking about a movie before the last season on the BBC, because that last season we didn't think we were going to get, and then we got it because they couldn't get the funding for the movie at the time. And then they said, no, we are actually going to try and make a movie. So we've been waiting for this for a while, but damn, it was good. And Andy Serkis, genius casting.
Oh, that's great casting. And it's like, you have these, you watch these TV programs and that, and you have like a gimme. Yeah, where it's like kind of like they have this thing. So like Stranger Things, the Upside Down exists. Yeah, as long as you give that, you know, as long as you recognize that. For Luther, it's like his understanding of evil is his one. Yeah, and he does some good and clever things. And dude, watch it. That's all I can recommend. Give it a watch. It's I'll have some bits where you'll be sitting upright going no. The radio thing got me. We had the radio in his room.
Oh, that was genius. Again, yeah, chilling. That's the first time you hear those screams, and again, just brilliantly done. I like his whole escape, and that whole escape is brutal. The violence, and again, it's all believable and real, and incredibly uncomfortable to watch that bit, but you're cheering him on.
I did like the way he set it up, and he was like, "I'm getting a kick in. There's no way I'm getting out of here without getting a kick in." Yeah, that was, you could see it in his head. It's like, kind of, I don't want to do this because it's going to hurt, but fuck it. And then he got down, and he starts getting into a fight and a ruck and whatnot, and he starts winning, and you're like, kind of, oh, maybe he'll get out of this without a scratch on him, and then he just gets pinned down, the shit kicked out of him, and then they split everything up, and it's like he needs to go. So good TV. I miss that's what old school, like 2012 TV was like.
Yeah,
I miss that.
Agreed. Well, having said that, then we should be talking about Picard. We've got 2 episodes to talk about.
Oh yes, we have got 2 episodes because you weren't here last week.
You mentioned this in WhatsApp, and this I had noted this, and we didn't talk about it at the end of the 3rd episode because I thought I didn't know. I went and watched the 3rd episode again after the podcast, and I thought the changelings, when they're in their gelatinous form, look odd. Why do they look odd? Why have they changed them? We're getting on to that in a minute, Biffa, because that was a holy fuck moment for me as well. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I was like, shit. And then watching that 4th episode, which I watched 3 times, and I loved the 4th episode, and I love it because it is Star Trek. The ending of that 4th episode is proper good Star Trek. But the changeling bothered me.
I'm gonna make an episode not quite Star Trek, just good entertainment, because the way, right. So let's talk about episode 4. Was it 4 and 5 that we had? So episode 4. So this is the escape from the gravity well one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, with the Shrike.
Yeah.
So I like the way they bookended it with you threw a spaceship at me, I'm going to throw a rock at you.
I like it. I love it. Was it Beverly goes, Will, did you just hurl an asteroid at that ship? You bet your ass I did.
I love that because it felt like he was desperate to get some payback from what they did earlier.
He got some fucking payback, all right. God, he fucking threw a roll straight in the face, slap bang on the nose. That was awesome. But the changelings bothered me. The look of the changelings bothered me, and I thought, why? But again, Terry Matalis, this guy. Look, I should have known it because I've started watching 12 Monkeys again. That guy is meticulous because you watch that first episode, right? There is shit that happens in that very fucking first pilot episode of 12 Monkeys that does not get a fucking payoff until the final in season 4, and yet it all links, it all makes sense. He ties up every loose end. So I'm looking at those changelings, I'm going, it's bothering me. And then episode 5, which we'll talk about in a sec, they actually address it, and I like the fact that they addressed that because it was bothering me. And you messaged me and said the same.
Yeah, because it was, if you watch the episode where they're on the Defiant in Deep Space Nine and they get attacked by the changeling's lethal, proper lethal. Yeah, it's like boss tier bad guy, which was at the time was great. But these changelings, a bit fleshier, not the same. Really not the same. And that did kind of bug me. I think as he just downplayed it to make the story work, this, that, and the other. Gets explained later, but we'll just want to stick with the escape from the nebula one for the moment, and then we'll move on to the other one. But that was good. I liked the flashback because it explained why Jack never contacted him, because he sought him out. We just asked him a question. Did you ever need a family outside? To which he went, Starfleet's the only family I ever needed. And he went, oh, fair enough. You're not fucking interested in me. I'm off ski. Yeah. Made sense. Really made sense. Yeah. And the worst thing is Picard at the end of the episode realized what he'd done and everything. All of a sudden it just went, oh, I'm such a dickhead. All in one kind of look. It was like, oh, it was me all along.
Again. All in a look. There's no words there. It was all in a look. It's this guy should be doing Star Trek. I mean, I'm sorry. This is just fucking miles ahead of anything Discovery does. Look, I'm not even going to the politics of Discovery. The writing in this is just, it is every size taller, better than that of Discovery, and it's just done. And the acting and that scene, you're right, it was so powerful, so emotional, and yeah, you know what he's thinking. I'm such a dickhead, and it all was said in that look.
And then there was, what was the other parts too? Because it was Shaw and Seven.
Shaw was.
Shaw's great because Shaw's an antagonist without being a full-blown antagonist, if that makes any sense. He's like the one who's like he's throwing up roadblocks, he's throwing up this, that, and the other. But there's reasons behind it, there's logic behind it. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. He's not an arsehole for the sake of being an arsehole. You've got that. And the bit where he's there with 7 of 9 and they're talking, and he turns around to 7, he turns around and goes, if I was a saboteur, this would be the best time to sabotage us when he's trying to sort the nacelle bits out. And what do you call it? She goes, yeah. And then she disappears because you're going off to get a phaser. And then Geordie's daughter, I can't remember her name, turns up. And she's like, kind of, oh, I'm here to help. And it's like, hang on a second, we saw you on the bridge. You're clearly the changeling, like that. And then she turns around and does the changeling in. That was great. I love that because it was just thinking.
When she first notifies Shaw about the changeling and the way he, can I talk to you? I shouldn't be talking to you officially. Can I talk to you unofficially? No. And then she tells him, and he's, oh, fuck's sake, come in. And his reluctance, but then he's always playing this like arsehole, and he's amusingly like he's a bit of an amusing arsehole. But that bit where he walks into the holodeck and he starts off being, his normal sort of slightly amusing arsehole self, but there's an edge to it, and you know that there's something coming. And then that emotion when he finally lets rip at Picard, and Picard taking it and walking off, and Jack going, hang on, Jack almost sticking up for his father. All of that just felt so human and so real. And then, the bit where Picard goes to him, and I love it because he opens the thing and Picard's standing there, we need your help, despite the fact that you're a dipshit from Chicago. I loved that. And Shaw is like, nice. Shaw respects that. And I loved that.
I also like the fact that after he put his story out, he turns around and he looks at his crew and he turns around and goes, well, at one point I replaced being an arsehole, charisma with being an arsehole sort of thing. And the crew look at him and they all have sympathy for him.
Yeah.
They're not looking at him with disdain. They're like,
no.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. And it's great because it's, as I said, not from a vacuum. Yeah, this stuff has been thought through. Someone has gone, he's an arsehole because of this. Yeah, what's the biggest thing? What's the chance to, this, that, and the other? The other thing I kind of like too is the Enterprise crew never got involved in the Dominion War.
No.
Yep, never ever. They could have made films about it. This never got in with the Dominion War.
A brief mention of it. I think it's Insurrection, isn't it? Or is
yes. Yeah, they were looking for somewhere healing to help them with the Dominion War sort of stuff. And it's nice to see how they would act in like a similar situation. But going back, let's just finish off the Nebula episode, and we can move on to the Ro episode. So we had that. There was no Worf and Raffi in this one, which people liked. But as I said, Worf's made me like Raffi.
But again, you get that payoff in the next episode in the thing. But the end of that episode, you get the first sort of signs that not all is right with Jack, because you see the red door and and the sort of intertwine. You're like, well, what the fuck is that, right? And they really play into that in that fourth episode. But again, at the end, Jack helps it, and you get Picard on the bridge being the fucking captain. And engage and back off and just being there and Will, because I like the fact that they resolved the whole Will thing, the argument between the two of them. That they settled that very quickly and in a very human way. He knows he was right, and he says you were right, my friend. And then he goes, but spend this next 4 hours with your son. Take it from someone that knows. Spend this time. It's the only time you're going to have. This is the end, my friend. That whole acting between the two of them was really good. And then when the having to convince him to go with the plan. Again, I liked the fact he was reluctant. I don't like the fact that they gave him and Troy a dead son thing. But the fact is that Terry Matalas went, okay, I've got this baggage. I'm going to fucking do something with it. And he has. And again, like you said, he's meticulously gone, okay, how would this guy now react? He's had a dead son. I think this is out. And again, Will's reactions are all human. I mean, fuck me. Who knew that Jonathan Frakes could act this bloody well? But people are saying this is his best acting, and they're not wrong.
It is his best acting.
That scene between him and Picard where he admits he was wrong and apologizes, and then the convincing scene where they convince him that the plan is the only way forward, and then he takes command, but then he gives command to Jean-Luc, recognizing that the experience there, that they need him. And, Jean-Luc gets him out of it. But then he jumps in with that fucking asteroid scene. And then that whole sort of redemption with him and Deanna was great. A great scene. And then at the beginning of the 5th episode, we get the captain's log. Will Riker's captain's log. Brilliant.
But also ends with Admiral's log.
Admiral's log. It ends with Picard's log and starts with captain's log, which is, again, great. And, I mean, the 5th episode...
Hang on, let's get on. We'll get on to 5th episode in a minute because we've got to talk about the hand.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so part of me was like, has she cut her hand? Is she a changeling, or has she got a changeling attached to her? But Terry Matalas, she's a changeling. He said on Twitter, it's not a magic hand. She's a changeling.
Didn't he say? Did you watch that video that I sent you from Matalas?
Yes, I watched
that.
Yeah,
that guy, right, has got so much class. I mean, appearing with several of those people on the stream, he is going to get shit for that, right? And he said it in the stream, and he respectfully disagreed with some of the things he was saying. I disagreed with him, but on the other hand, I think he handled himself with so much class, and he said it in there. I think he said that she was a changeling.
Yeah. But, well, no, it was a tweet because it's the magic hand. Because she just cut her hand off, and it was like, so there's some lesser link, I'm going to call it.
Yes, I think so.
Of new changelings.
Yes.
And this, yes, it's odd. So something's up with Jack. So I'm right. So my theory is that Jack isn't Jack.
The only reason that it's not that I disagree with you, that I'm not sure about it, is that, one, they've introduced Picard's son, right? To take that son away and then not to be a son, I don't think they're going to do that. I think he's infected with something. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if changelings are somehow possessing people, and that's what it is. Rather than they are integrating themselves with human bodies and somehow managing to change their DNA potentially and allow them to become slightly gelatinous. And that's why they look kind of like skin jobs, if you like, sort of skinny fucking when they go into gelatinous form. I think they're possessing. Now, he could be possessed by a changeling. I genuinely don't know. I genuinely don't know where they're going with this. But even Vadik had the same sort of skinny, weird look. And what was the fucking, silence-looking thing that formed with the sort of changing goo, if you like? What was that all about? Because that is not a changeling. So what's that? Now, I know, right? I know that Terry Matalas has said, I love the conspiracy bugs, right? And he has deliberately made a point of saying, I'm not doing the conspiracy bugs. What if that was a double bluff? That somehow he's interweaving the conspiracy bugs into this. Because I wouldn't fucking put it past him. Now, having watched the 5th episode, right? Nobody fucking saw that coming, right? By the way, pay attention. That's how you subvert expectations, right? What Matalas did in episode 5, that is subverting expectations.
That's not some. That's a good old fashioned. It's a twist and a reveal, but there was enough stuff in there for you to know that it was coming up, so it didn't feel like you had your expectations subverted.
Look, I mean, what he did in that 5th episode with that character coming back. Shall we say it? Shall we say it?
All right, so let's move on to episode 5.
I mean, I love the beginning of it because you get that Jack sort of cut down, so you're like, holy fuck, what's going on there? Then you get that wonderful military moment where you get the captain's log, which is great because you just get all the member berries. And then Will does the whole, there's one more thing I've got to do. He gives command back to the ship, and you're relieved. I stand relieved. You think, oh, nice. So then Shaw just goes, haha, I've already contacted Starfleet. You guys are fucked, right? And then so you're like, he's such an asshole, but we still love him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, he goes, and then he goes, and then he does the whole reinstatement of Seven. Would you like to be uninstated or reinstated when Starfleet turn up? And she's like, reinstated. Oh, I hereby officially reinstate you. Oh, you asshole. I love that. And then it was like, but then he does something really nice. He goes, right, I'm going to walk out now so you three can get your bullshit story together. Which is like, again, he's doing the right thing by notifying Star Wars, but he's actually giving them a little bit of leeway, which again was really good. And then Starfleet turns up. And I actually audibly went, holy fuck, when she walks around the corner. Because I was like, okay, that was the last thing I was expecting, right? And
but
that
hang on a second.
Is cool.
But saying that, did you go, why is she taking a space shuttle?
Yeah, I did think about that after I got over the initial shock, right? Because when they said, oh, they're taking a space shuttle, I was like, why are they doing that? And then they said, why is he taking a space shuttle, not using the transporters? I thought, okay, yeah. And I started thinking about that, and then you see Lauren, I was just like, what? Like that. And I was like, hang on, she's Marquis, what the fuck? Right? So then I paused the episode and Googled it. The second to final episode, Lauren fucks off and becomes a Marquis, and Picard's all pissed at her and everything. I was like, okay, that's established. How is she back in Star? Oh, yeah, because at the end of, towards the end of DS9, the Marquis kind of got wiped out. So it's like, how is she back in thing? And then, she's got to be a changeling, right? And then it was just like, but hang on, Lauren, that was just the last character. She was a cool character. And it was just the last character I thought we were going to see subverting expectations in a very good way. Whole fucking scene between her and Picard in you get that whole interrogation. She's been really thinking, you're thinking, she's got to be a changeling. This is just like,
oh, it's the bit where she does the blood test, and then Beverly sends that you've got some personal things. I just look at it, and it's like they can what's it, fudge the blood test now.
Yeah.
And he's like, shit. And then they go down to 10 forward, and he switches the safeties off because he's like, kind of, I'll pull that shit that I pulled in First Contact with the machine gun.
Yeah.
Because it's like he does that, and you see him switch it off, and then they start talking, and then they're angry at each other, which is great. And then because he realizes that they're both angry at each other. She's not a changeling. He's not a changeling. Because she thinks he's a changeling too. And it's just, it's proper characterization. It respects the characters, respects the source material. I love it.
You get that acting and the bouncing off of them, the emotion that's there, the tears in their eyes. And again, so much more is said than is verbally spoken. The acting is brilliant. The stage direction, getting the actors to make that come across. Again, the direction and the writing are just incredible. And then the bit towards the end of the episode where Rose back on the shuttle and Picard goes, I see you now. And it's only in this last minute. He admits, he says, it's only now that I see you. Right? And that look on her face, again, she forgives him. Right? And it's all in that scene, which makes what happens next that much more emotionally It's God, it was good. I've watched that episode. Like, I still don't know what's going on with Jack. he's obviously either infected something or he's not Jack. You could be right. Jack could be plumbed in somewhere, but I think Jack exists, is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's see, because the other part too is the changelings now can do internal organs.
Yes.
Yeah. So they could do the internal organs bits now. So they can get around those tests. They explain, they explain how they managed to beat the security sensors, because that was always something. Because ever since the Dominion War, we had these security sensors, and we're like, how did they get around it? But it also explains why they're all fleshy looking rather than like a nice clear liquid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, I like the fact that he covers that. And I've got to mention again, I love the fact that he put there was a real lovely little Easter egg in there when Worf meets the Vulcan guy. That's Ramsey from fucking right. That's the guy that played Ramsey, right? And the fact that because the guy that was playing the Ferengi is the other dude out of 12 Monkeys, and they were scavengers in District 7. In 12 Monkeys. I love that
right.
beautiful little Easter egg there.
Hang on a second. Let's talk about Worf and Raffi. So it starts off, you go back to them, they're fighting, yeah. Now, in Kurtzman track, we'll call it, she would beat him, full stop, yeah?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. He fucking kicks her ass so badly, yeah, that he can sit down and meditate and go, bitch, you try it, I've got you on number.
Yeah, he does that. Like, he even does the one-handy thing.
Yeah. And it's great. But here's the twist. They're doing that for a reason. And the reason happens later, which is like foreshadowing, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it's odd that I'm so amazed that someone can tell a story correctly.
Because it hasn't happened for so long, and especially in this genre. We have not had something written this well in a very long time.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's probably the best season of Star Trek ever.
If it sticks the landing.
If it sticks the landing, this is going to be the greatest season of Star Trek ever written.
Oh, no. Is that me or Keith?
I've been watching.
Keith, your signal's going a bit weird, mate. We'll let it settle down.
Am I okay?
Yeah, all right, you're at 2, going up to 3. So, anyway,
I love Next Gen, but the problem with Next Gen is it had 26 episodes, right? And most seasons had 26 episodes. There's brilliant episodes, including in season 4 of Next Gen. And there are really, really good episodes, and I've been watching loads of them on Netflix recently. But this season has been consistently well written, subverting expectations, but in a cool way, not giving fan service in a cool way. I think arguably this is the greatest season. I will say I think it's going to end up being voted the best season.
I will wait until the end because the Star Trek is notoriously not serialized. The only one that was serialized was Deep Space Nine.
Towards the end.
Well, it was after. I think it was after The Way of the Warrior. It went more. It went semi-serialized, shall we say?
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. Things had consequences. That's what I kind of want to put across.
Yes,
but
right.
It is good. And I want to just go back to Raffi and Worf because Raffi's a character. The first 2 seasons didn't give a shit about. I watched the actress in other things, and she's good in other things. She was in Daredevil and some other bits that I've watched, and I liked her in those TV shows. In this, I didn't care for her. They made her a drug addict living out in the desert, which wasn't good. But now they've got someone who's a bit more steely-eyed, a bit more determined. And then when they get to what do you call it, the District 7, or whatever it was, Sector 7, where they're having a thingy, and she's with Worf, and she's making all the noise and everything. And you're like, why is she being so cocky? And then you realize when the guy shoots her and says, I know what a mobile emitter looks like, she's being cocky because she's not there.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm not there. I can mouth off to my heart's content because no one's going to shoot me. And then you've got it's weird because you've got a Vulcan who isn't quite disciplined like most Vulcans, so it's a bit more emotional. But he still, works with the framework of logic and bits, and they threaten. She stabs Worf. As I said, they planned that, yeah. Because if you watch them fighting and that, he had the knife on standby. Like it's like if you're gonna do it, it's got to be here, yeah. And then he takes them all out. That's great when he takes them all out and then gets behind him, and then it's like kind of, oh, I've done this, that, and the other. And he went, hang on a second, let's just skip to the end because I'm bleeding. Yeah, and she's like, kind of, well, you need patience and that. So the question is what was the name of the place they went that kept all the stuff? Oh, what's the name of the station? Daystrom Station.
Oh, Daystrom Station. Yes.
That was interesting. And then you did go back. I love that just Raffian thing, and it's weird because I think that Michael Dorn probably couldn't film with the rest of them, so they filmed those scenes separately.
But I mean, I'm just going to address very quickly. Chuck, go back and watch the beginning of this stream. Just rewind it.
Yeah, you need to watch the beginning.
You need to watch the beginning and look at what Gareth's name is. He hasn't paid attention. Look at the Gareth's name. Look. Or there. Look what it says. Right. Anyway, I liked. Again, I haven't watched an episode of television that makes me cheer so much. Right. And when the sort of Vulcan bad guy Ramsey, let's call him Ramsey because he was Ramsey, and I love the little sort of tongue-in-cheek freaking Easter eggs that were there. But I love he's pretty nasty, right? And you know that Raffi and Worf have got a plan, and they fight that shit out, and she kicks Worf's ass pretty quickly. Went nah, like that, and she stabs him. You're like, holy shit, they're not killing off Worf. I've seen the trailer. There's no way. I know he meets up with Riker. Right, so he goes, how are they getting out of this one? When she stabs him, it's like, has she really stabbed him? Okay, she stabbed him. When he does that, okay, all right. And then he's like, the Vulcan's been all cocky, and then you just hear the batless sounds, right? You see all of them drop. You're like, here he is. But again, comedically, it was like, it hurts. I'm bleeding. I've lost a lot of blood. I'm in severe need of medical attention. Again, all delivered deadpan, right? I'd love to know how many sort of short takes that took. But again, brilliantly deadpan. But it's at the end. It's at the end when that incoming transmission, I went, yes. And I was like, come on. And then Wolf box on the yes! It actually made me go, I got really excited. I thought, this is it. And it was great. It was just that fantastic 2 seconds. That's all I got. And it was enough. This guy knows what he's doing. And he does fan service, but he does it when it's needed. And he doesn't do it when it's not needed. And he's got the balance right. And it really annoys me when I see all these people that are slagging this off without watching it. You call yourself Trekkies out there who are slagging the show off. You're not Trekkies because this is Star Trek. This is Star Trek. And it's the best bloody Star Trek we've had in 20-odd years. Sorry. You can give your...
next, right? So it was quite good because they explained the changelings weren't like the changelings were in Deep Space Nine, which I appreciate. They're a new version of changeling. They've probably been separated from Great Link for a period of time, so they need to do things slightly differently. It explains a lot of stuff, which is great. Then you've got what's up with Jack Crusher. Yeah, something's up with him. Now I think a changeling killed him and felt bad and replaced him, and then convinced themselves that they are Jack Crusher. And the thing that's behind the door is the memory of who they really are. But that changeling who is pretending to be Jack Crusher has some kind of secret that they're all after. Maybe there's another Great Link out there or something, something along those lines. He knows that.
Either that or that your thoughts at the beginning that Vadic's from the future, you might not be wrong, because the fact that when Beverly goes there they have evolved, you're like, you don't evolve in 30 years, right? The great, what's that? You don't. So your theory of the future, it has merit. I will give you
There's
that.
a reason.
It has merit.
The reason I say that is if you read the book Hyperion, the bad guy in Hyperion is called the Shrike, and it's from the future, and it is slowly traveling back in time. Oh, that's the other thing. Hang on a second. The way they animate the ships. Well, I want you to go back. You can watch it again. There's an excuse to watch it again. The way they animate the ships, like the Shrike and the Intrepid, yeah, behave like predatory creatures.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first time they come across the Shrike and they detonate a torpedo in front of it, yeah, it doesn't like fall over or list to the left or right. It scuttles back into the cloud so it can't be seen, like it's some kind of beast. Yeah, and the way it kind of flies behind them, it's going like this behind them, rather than like a nice straight thing that you get in normal space. And then with the Intrepid, the bit where she takes out the nacelle and then the Intrepid pops up over them and starts looming. Yeah, it's really threatening. They managed to make the animations on the ships look threatening and dangerous, which is great.
I thought the Intrepid was kind of a cool design. The problem is certain camera angles, it looks, and I know why they've done it, right? They're saving money on the effects, right? But it looks very similar to the Titan, and they both look very like the Enterprise A. They're screaming Enterprise A, and I hope we get a bit more variety if we get any more Starfleet ships, like bigger ships, smaller ships. Now I know we're getting the Enterprise F,
right?
And
hang on a second.
There's a thing going on with the Enterprise F as well. There, go on.
So just a quick one. No, we saw the ships at the end, and you see like the old Enterprise and Voyager and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
they're going to be in formation of Frontier Day.
Yeah, we're
going to get to see
we know
them,
we're getting.
not
We
necessarily
know
in
we're
action.
getting more than one. Yeah, we know we're getting more than one Enterprise. I would still like to see Voyager. I like the fact that Janeway got mentioned.
Oh no, is this me or Keith? Oh, Keith, be careful.
Yeah, there's something been going on my internet for months. I keep getting 3 packet loss. It's happening a lot. I don't know why. I'll probably call them tomorrow. Anyhow, as I was saying, look, I'd like to see Janeway in this. I mean, my fear is this is the only good Star Trek we're going to get, because with the fact that Discovery has been cancelled, and by the sounds of it, Strange New Worlds won't get another season, which I'm not that sad about, considering we've had this. I am bothered if they don't make any more Prodigy beyond season 2, because Prodigy is actually quite good. It is the sequel to Voyager that no one ever asked for, no one thought they needed, but if you're a Voyager fan, you actually really enjoy this.
You know, when you talk about that, I get that confused with Lower Decks.
I know you do, and you've got to watch Prodigy because it's quite good. It's kiddie in places, but in other places it's good. And Janeway makes a great salamander joke that is a very adult-related joke. When she got turned into a salamander and did the dirty with Tom. But yeah, there is a great joke in there. I mean, I enjoyed Prodigy, and I thought, well, okay, this actually feels a bit like Star Trek, and they would. I hope we get another season of that, or at least another couple of seasons. But they've got to bring the TARDIS back. I mean, in 5 episodes, this guy has turned around the fan base like that. You can see Prodigy on Nickelodeon because it's a kids' cartoon series, but there are kiddie moments. But in fact, if you're a Trekkie, you love Voyager, this is a natural sequel to Voyager. You get Janeway in it like almost all the way through. In fact, there's 2 Janeways in it. You'll get what I mean when you watch it. Or otherwise, you can sell the 7 Seas for it. But it's good. I don't know where it streams in the US or in the UK, but it was originally aired on Nickelodeon. But it was.
Oh, and we lost him. It's me on my own. Naturally, I'm going to talk much more sense than Keith. And he's.
What happened there?
No, I've gone.
What happened there?
I have no idea. I think we had a double crap out.
Oh, okay.
We had a double crap out. You crapped out. I crapped out.
Everybody crapped out.
Everybody crapped out. So yes, I'm trying to find it. It's not. You can buy episodes on Prime Video, but I can't find it anywhere other than that. Maybe it's on Channel 4.
Gee, Steve, are you in the US? If you're in the US, I don't know if it's on like one of the catch-up services, but it's worth watching. It is genuinely pretty good, and it's got quite a good cast. Stick with it. At the beginning, it feels a bit different, but just stick with it, because when January turns up, it gets good, and they do some brave stuff in it, and the final's pretty good. But no, I am really excited now for every episode of Picard season 3, and that's a problem because Mandalorian. I just don't care. I don't. I've watched it, and had Picard season 3 not been around, I would have gone, yeah, okay, I really enjoyed that episode. But Picard season 3, it dwarfs it in terms of quality and everything else. I mean, look, they're doing something. Look, I'll give Mandalorian season 3 its dues. They are not doing episode of the week. They are telling one story here now. And although we had this kind of very long episode, it was kind of cool being on Coruscant. Music was very good. Filoni's written the next episode, and I will watch the next episode. But there's less of the music you don't like. The music was actually quite good in this last episode. Have you watched it? Have you watched any of the Mando? Gareth?
Mando, me?
Yeah.
I told you in December I was done.
Yeah, bullshit. I still know that you might go and watch it. So have you watched it?
No, I've not watched it. I do a thing where I look for people I trust to review things and have a feel. If they say it's okay, then I'll give it a watch. If they say it's crap, then I'll leave it alone. Got a lot of it's crap, especially episode 3, which starts off amazingly with the Mandalorian being chased in an epic space battle, and then all of a sudden, boom, cuts to a dead character. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and the machine they use, Gareth, right? And again, I think they think they're being cool. They have a machine that wipes his memory at the end, and they call it the Mind Flayer, right? And it's like, oh, we're going to put a little Stranger Things in there. Aren't we so cool? Like, no, this is Star Wars. It's not Stranger Things. Stop trying to borrow from the popularity of that, okay? But it wasn't that bad. It was kind of cool seeing Coruscant again, and it wasn't as bad as some people are making out. But it's not a freaking patch. It is not a patch on Picard season 3. So I can't believe I'm saying that. I cannot believe where we were a year ago, where we were sitting here a year ago going, what the fuck is this shit? When we were watching Picard season 2 to this. It's just... I never thought we'd get this.
Enjoy it while it's here, and then hopefully we'll hear the following. Terry Matalas is doing an episode of a series of Star Trek.
Star Trek Titan.
Doesn't matter. Whatever he does,
it makes me emotional.
If he did a follow-up to Deep Space Nine,
yep,
that would be fine.
It makes me emotional because it's something I never thought we'd get. I am a huge Trekkie. I've always been a Trekkie. I never realized how much it bothered me that Star Trek has been destroyed. And I think that's why I kind of enjoyed Prodigy. This is making me emotional because this is something I never thought we would get. And, the fact that I'm doing giddy little things when Worf pops up on the screen and things like that. These are characters I grew up with, a bit like Star Wars. And this is the gem that I never thought we'd get. So screw it. I am loving it.
I'm loving it too.
Absolutely loving it.
I have a little apprehension. Does it stick the landing?
You have no idea, right? I have to exhibit so much self-control not to text you. On Thursday, I was going to go, dude, roll out. No, you can't watch it till tomorrow. Have to wait 24 hours. Go fucking watch it.
That's the other good thing. Being weekly and having surprises works.
Yes, but I have to wait 24 hours to geek out with you about it.
That's fine. The problem is sometimes you catch you. I get like a spare moment at work, and I'll message you over WhatsApp, and you'll be like, kind of. Oh. I think this week it was they explained the changelings. Thank you. that was it. Literally the conversation. They explained up with the changelings.
When you sent that, I went, "That's exactly what I was thinking." That's been bugging me for 2 weeks, and yeah. No, dude, it's awesome. Picard season 3. If you're not watching it, go and bloody watch it.
All right, so I want to show you a clip of something. Yeah. No. So for the listeners, I also do another podcast with the third monkey who's missing, who's Nigel, and we do it with a guy called Babster, who's in the chat with us. Yeah.
Hey,
anyway, Babster had a prize draw for something. Yeah. All right. Babster had a prize draw for something, and I just want to replay part of it. So yeah. So here you go.
Everybody who's in the chat.
So.
Gareth Perry?
It's not rigged. I swear. It's not rigged.
Joe's 5 games.
Yeah. Oh, I saw where this is going. Yeah. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Oh yeah.
It was. We did the.
Can you believe it?
So it was a case of. What was it? Right, hang on a second. It was we got to the end of the podcast, and Babster's like, kind of, I'm doing my prize draw because I'd be grateful if some of you could turn up. And I was like, I'll be there for you. But he had quite a few people on stream, and it was just like, kind of, I shouldn't really. I'm like, I hope I don't win. So I'm listening to it because I've got it. Like, I'm doing other things, so I'm just listening to what's going on, and then I just hear my name, and I'm like, I'm not sure if that's a fix or not.
No one's gonna believe this.
So let's wrap this up, and we can spooge over Picard next week and Ted Lasso. I want you to watch a TV show called Slow Horses.
I've watched it. All of it.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm watching Slow Horses.
I've seen. So the great thing is they obviously have made this a while ago because season 3 is they show a trailer at the end of season 2 for season 3. Season 3 looks even better. No, I love Slow Horses. I think Slow Horses is
awesome.
Fucking brilliant. I love him in it. He's such a bastard. I love it. Carry on, but
Slow Horses
in that series. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, watch that. Apple TV.
And another one called Severance.
I haven't watched that, so I will go and watch that, or try to.
Go watch Severance. Just watch the first episode, and then we'll come back to it. It's supposed to be quite clever in what they do. So
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I will check it out.
But for people listening, me, Babster, and Nigel do a gaming podcast. It's only available at the moment in audio. We don't do it live yet. We're thinking about doing it. And there'll be clips put out on YouTube of us talking about various things. Babster finds us quite interesting things to do with like kind of retro games and mods and Tron stuff, which was quite good. And it's a frisbee, Babster. Yeah, it's not a data disc. That thing they showed was a frisbee. The other thing was a data disc. Just as as an aside. So yeah, we've got that as a gaming thing. But I'll still be here doing the Monkey Nut Punch podcast with Keith. TV and bits are good at the moment. I'm going to watch Shazam tomorrow. It's going to be okay. I'm not expecting anything wild, but it's all been good. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. It's been wild ride. We will catch you next week. You're not here. You are here next week, Keith. Good. Yeah. I will text you the moment I finish watching Picard, so you can.
You have no idea how much. It's like I even sent a text message. It was like, dude, I sent it to him Friday morning. Dude, fucking watch this because I need to talk to you about it.
Man, it was. So the thing is, what I do sneakily, right? Hang on a second. What I do sneakily is I pop into a meeting room at work and I pull my iPad out and I watch it on my iPad as I'm working. The problem is I have to go back and watch it properly in the evening. So it's one of those ones where kind of you do a split attention thing where you're on your phone. So I won't be able to text you a little earlier for that.
Just live. Show him one more time. Just give him that money shot.
What's the money? What money? Oh yes, sorry. No, I am. I was just getting that ready. Hang on a second. So,
I meant the hoodie, but we can show the trailer.
I know the hoodie, but I was going to do it while plugging his video at the same time too. Yeah, I'll turn the volume down on the video because I think he's got semi-copyrighted music on there.
All over the computer. Be careful.
Right, so just this week I'm sponsored by Covaction. I want to say Covaction Dronography because I always knew it as Covaction Dronography until he changed his name.
Just don't do what he did, where he wore a white hoodie and then proceeded on camera to eat the most giant piece of chocolate cake I've ever seen in my life. Right? That was brave. That took balls, especially when wearing a white hoodie. That's ballsy.
So, yes, go to look for Covaction, subscribe, watch it. Nice travel vlogs. As I said earlier, from my perspective, it always ends up with Chuck getting drunk. It's not the case, but it always feels like he just gets hammered at the end. It's like kind of, oh, we found somewhere nice. Let's just drink the local beer. But yeah, the lovely the things. He's got one in England. I need to watch that one. Let's see if he gets anything wrong. I think send him a message. No, you got that wrong. You missed this. But go give him a watch. It's fantastic. Lovely fella. I'd just like to point out, Keith, you owe me 2 T-shirts. Chuck owed me nothing. And do you owe me 2?
One.
You owe me 2.
One. No, that's one. You've got it.
That doesn't count. This is from Chuck. This is Chuck. Yeah, Chuck gets.
See, I told you, Chuck. I should have sent it to him.
Hang on a second. Chuck gets shameless promotion because he was kind enough to send me something. Unlike you, who owes me 2 T-shirts, and all I need is 1 T-shirt that says #fucking called it.
Fucking called it. All right.
And then the other one #called it. Because they were the bets that you made that you lost. Do you know what the ironic thing is? Is the first T-shirt was for the end of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, bloody was. Yeah, you're right.
That's how long you've owed me that T-shirt for.
Yeah. I will sort it. Oh look, there's a TARDIS on top of there.
TARDIS on
the
top of
the day she regenerated on top of there. That still makes me laugh. The day she regenerates on there, he goes there. Oh dear.
Hey, it's one of those things.
Your video will be cooler than that. Just saying. Anyway, yeah, we gotta go. Yeah, easily.
We gotta go. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.